Right. All right. Do you guys see the agenda?
Yep.
Perfect. All right. So let's get this started. So this is our Wednesday governance call. We normally have them on Thursday at 6 p.m. UTC, but this week because of Christmas, and then also next week because of New Year's Eve, we're going to have it on Wednesdays these next 2 weeks. To prevent technical difficulties and distractions, if you can, just stay muted while we are on these calls unless you're talking. If you guys have any suggestions, please let us know. Introductions. Let's start with the core team first, and Trent.
Hey guys, I'm Trent, one of the original launchers of Yam, and I have been doing a number of different product and strategy things for Yam ever since.
Hey guys, Brock here. I do smart contract and some Web3 development for Yam.
Hey guys, I'm Nate. I write smart contracts.
Hey guys, I'm Ross. First time being on camera here. I do strategy stuff and whatever I can to help out.
Jim is here as well, the designer.
Yep. Mainly helping out with brand.
Awesome. So we've got a couple of people that we are missing at the moment. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it to the Wednesday call, but Chris was on Zoom for a minute, and then Bruce, which is heading up the website design and branding as well. My name is Fedez. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm in charge of operations and treasury management. Are there any community members? I know that there are a couple of you that are here that haven't been here before. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, we're happy to have you.
Sure, I'm Matt Lorig, token holder and sort of interested in the project. So just sort of paying attention to what you guys are doing and interested to hear some of the changes that are going on.
Theo, if you're available.
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone. This is Theo. I've been following the Yam project from its very beginning back in the summer. Been kind of looking at a number of different DeFi projects over the last couple of weeks and months, and kind of try to get involved in whatever project I find interesting. And so Yam came back onto my radar screen pretty much because of the different products that you're launching. The fact that you have a relatively engaged community, and a couple of other factors. And so my background pretty much is in finance. I've been in crypto since 2017, tried my hands at a ton of different products. So yeah, kind of looking at this as a great platform from which a bunch of cool DeFi products can be launched and developed.
Thank you, Theo. Welcome to the chat and welcome to the community. Khan, if you're available.
Yeah, hi everybody. It's very first time for me to joining the community call, and myself, I'm a software engineer experienced in smart contract and front-end development. I just very interested in Yam protocol and noticed that you're gonna doing community call and just joined and for observing purpose actually.
Great, thanks for joining us. So I forgot, guys. We also have part of the team, Hodl Dewan.
Yeah. So I'm just a core strategist, contributor, and investor. I just do whatever's needed whenever it is needed. Help a little bit with ideation, and help coordinate some snapshot proposals and stuff like that.
Appreciate it, Hodl. All right, so let's get into governance. We're going to try to keep these videos under an hour long and save some time at the end for any questions. So past week in governance, we had our big rebase snapshot. This is, a core to Yam's protocol. And, going through it, we found out that it was very important piece of the YAM protocol. But as we've moved forward and we focus more on our products, we found that it might not necessarily be as beneficial as it was originally. So the community has talked about it and discussed at length to remove it. The voting of the snapshot was just approved. We're not actually going to remove it, but basically turn it off and just lock what the current scaling factor is to add us at whenever the on-chain voting starts. So on-chain voting ends. So we are going to start the on-chain voting on the 26th, just because it's Christmas on the 25th, and just gives us time to make sure that everybody can vote. The on-chain voting is always 2 days plus a 12-hour time lock. That would put us around the 28th, 29th. So this is a snapshot. The 3% inflation snapshot has failed. So when we turn off the rebase, one of the pieces of the rebase was to fund the treasury, which it has done very well. But once we turn it off, it no longer will fund the treasury. So we don't have any mechanism right now that's in terms of adding yams, minting yams, or building the treasury another way. But with that being said, we are open to discussion, and there are already currently discussions around ways that we can use either minting of yams or some other mechanism to help fund the treasury or to create community incentives. Okay, so if you guys have any ideas around that, please feel free to talk to us on Discord. As far as the YAM v2 migration end snapshot, this is proposed by a community member, Daddy Pig. He's asked the team to end the v2 migration. Originally, when we first started the v2 migration over to v3, which is the current version of YAM, it was an open-ended conversion time. We found that it's causing issues with v3, mainly because some people are looking at when they go to CoinGecko or wherever exchange, if they have both v2 listed and the current YAM listed, it would show up as YAM, and it would show up as underneath that YAM v2. And some people would think the v2 is the most recent when it's really not. So this just helps eliminate some confusion, helps also, hopefully we'll be able to migrate the exchanges that are currently listing v2 into v3, which is the current version of YAM. So that has passed. We will be reaching out to services to update them on the situation as far as the rebase is concerned, but also as far as we're planning on ending v2 migration. So to get feedback to make sure that they have enough time so that we can give them enough heads up so that they don't get caught in a bind. As far as the actual date, it has not been determined yet. On-chain voting proposals. So as you guys know, we do our governance process is first discussion, then it's a forum discussion, then it goes to snapshot, which is a minimum of 3 days. And then after that, there is an on-chain vote, which requires gas, it requires you to have the smart contracts ready to be deployed before we do on-chain votes. So there is a decent amount of work that needs to get done before the on-chain voting starts. But we have a couple of things that are coming up for on-chain voting. On the 26th, we're doing a token rescue, which somebody unfortunately sent USDC to our token contract by accident. We're just rescuing it and getting it back to them, but it does require an on-chain vote. Just a reminder, we don't have multi-sigs like a lot of other projects. We use basically our entire governance process is completely decentralized and in the token holder's hands. Expense reimbursement. So we have a couple of things to reimburse expenses. There's a forum post about it. Rebase disable, which is what I just talked about. On the 1st of the new year, we're planning on doing the on-chain vote for the contributor compensation for December 2020. And there was a snapshot that was approved already for $250,000 worth of WBTC purchase. The community has recommended that we defer this until YDS launches in January 2021. And YDS is our investment product that we have collaborated with TokenSets on, which will allow us to allow Krugman, which is our elected portfolio manager, to manage part of our treasury through TokenSets protocol. More details on that in our Discord. So upcoming governance, let's see, we have some very big things coming up. We found that the governance system could use an update. Going through it these last couple of months has shown us a lot of things that could be better improved upon. Ross is on the chat and he's going to go over this. And to you, Ross.
Okay, hey, can I ask a question before about one of the migration?
Yeah, go ahead. Questions.
The question is, is this vote our sort of only snapshot? It seems like there's a lot that still needs to get worked out about the migration. I'm curious if the thought is that we would have another snapshot later just to confirm everything, or if that would be passed as a on-chain vote that is separated in some way.
I would imagine that there's going to be another snapshot just so that we can get a fixed date and get everybody on the same page. If nobody else does that, I'd be happy to set that up once we get feedback from exchanges. Now, there's stopping V2 migration is not without risk, because if anybody has V2 in Uniswap pools and then we turn it off, it's going to crash the price from whatever to basically zero. So we do have to give lots of time for people to try to exit or move their stuff either off exchanges or get out of certain pools and stuff like that. So this is probably not going to be a super fast transition, but it would be moving in the right direction still of what the previous snapshot proposal has asked for.
Right.
Yep.
Agreed on all accounts.
Okay, so I can jump into governance stuff. I recently posted on the forum a post that goes over some of the sort of the basics of how our on-chain governance system is currently working. I recommend that anyone who's interested go read that. But really, like most of YAM, like the rest of YAM, our governance process has begun as sort of a minimum viable product. And we've been spending the last few months working with it, adding to it, understanding it, and in trying to be a truly decentralized organization, we are, actively figuring out things about governance that haven't been tried before. So this is like most of YAM. Things are experimental, and we're trying to figure all this out. So there's a lot of conversation to be had. There are still pain points and inconsistencies in our process. Some people want it faster, some people want it slower, some people like how it is. But I think everyone can agree that we need to make the process clearer than it currently is. So part of this is doing that, trying to really understand what we're doing, how we're doing it, and getting input from everyone to try and make the process as good as it can. And similar to how we've been working on the brand pillars, which define what YAM is, we can use this as an opportunity with the brand pillars to understand what we're trying to do and try to craft a governance process that is aligned with the goals of YAM in general. And one of the first things that we really need to do is understand that process and understand, how it's going to play with our goals and the sort of nuances of YAM itself. So as you can see in the post there, there's an introduction that goes over sort of really my general thoughts on what we're trying to do with YAM governance, what's important. On subsequent pages, I go over a number of the sort of more in-depth elements. I post a link that Trent posted earlier, which goes over the sort of forum process. But the rest of this post is, what the requirements are to vote, how it works, all the things that you really need to know, or a start of the things you need to know in order to make changes, and see if changes are needed. And then the final part are some open questions that I came up with, that I see with the process, that that I think we all need to try to answer. I have further down as a response, I have put some of my thoughts forward about what those answers are, what those answers could be. But these are my opinions. And I know there are definitely community members who don't necessarily agree with all of my opinions. So it's an open process, and we're all empowered to discuss this, to have this conversation, and then we'll vote on it. And I hope that all of you can contribute. Anyone who wants to can contribute, because ultimately, what we want is a governance system that empowers the community to engage with it and to improve YAM. And we want a system that is open enough that everyone who wants to can contribute, can come in, can understand how it works. But we also don't want absolute chaos. We don't want attack vectors. And so this is the start of sort of crafting that and thinking about that. And I encourage everyone to participate on the forum, in the governance chat, and let's make YAM as good as it can be.
Yeah, this is an excellent document. I'm still working my way through it, but the whole premise here is we're as a group or as a community, we're trying to decide how to make decisions, and that is basically what the governance process is. It's how to understand the role of the team, the token holders, and the community as a whole. And it's basically like designing a mini constitution right now. So this is your chance to put your feedback in, put your stamp on what YAM is and what YAM will become. And yeah, just so that we can move forward and figure this stuff out together.
Ross, what are a couple of the big kind of changes in how we currently are doing things and how you're proposing things here? Just kind of highlight what you see as those pain points and what some of the solutions are.
Sure. I think a number of pain points are just around generally the process and how we go through the process, what the steps are, whether these steps really need to be taken or not. There are elements of it where we have steps that haven't been enforced, or we think we have steps, but we don't actually have these steps. So part of it is sort of building up a social contract that empowers either the core team or another group of YAM contributors and the YAM community to understand what makes a proposal valid, what steps need to be gone through in order for a proposal to be effective. Because what we want to be doing is making effective governance decisions, and we want anyone to be able to make a proposal, but we still need the quality of proposals to reach a certain level so that they are able to be carried out by the team, carried out by someone else. If the team can't, if the team's working on other things, is there a specification that allows other people to work on some of these proposals? So it's really sort of understanding all the steps that go into this process, and then determining if the way that we're doing it is the way that is best, or if there are better ways to do it. One of my proposals is to sort of provide a secondary layer of people in the community who are empowered to contribute and empowered to sort of shepherd people through the system. And those people aren't necessarily the core team, although the core team would also have that role, but there could be a wider net of people who are helping and who want to help out and are willing to, put in some time to shepherd new users through, or if they have a proposal, and to make sure that all the steps that we as a community decide upon are being followed.
Yeah, excellent. I'm a huge fan of this. Yeah, I think like one of the key takeaways is that it's not necessarily like trying to change a whole lot about how we currently do things. It's about standardizing that and making it much clearer for people, and investigating where we maybe do need some change. So yeah, I think this is a great initiative.
Yeah, awesome work, Ross, and Huddle the One as well. Let's see, let me get back to the agenda. All right, so any questions with any of what Ross just went over? All right, so
hey, Fedas, just
go
one
ahead.
quick question for Ross. So I've obviously seen the post, I read through it, it's quite long. What's the desired next step? Is there a specific action item, or Ross, do you want to have some sort of feedback by, let's say, 2nd of January, just so that people have some sort of urgency when they read this?
That's a good question. I will actually would like to defer this to anyone else, if anyone else has a thought on what you think if there are deadlines. I mean, yeah, we could say like a week of open comments, something like that.
I think we need to trim. It's a great discussion document right now. I think the next step is, after a little bit of discussion, let's trim it down to get it to a point where it's actually a little bit more readable in a single sitting. And then we can start to have some polls associated with it, and start it moving through the governance process that it actually recommends we go through.
Right, and I just want to be clear that the original document that I made really doesn't propose any solutions. It's an informational document, really, and it brings up some things that I think might be issues, but it's not really proposing any solutions. And in my response, I did propose some solutions, and sure, we could go and vote on those, but I'd love to see if other people have solutions, and if people read those solutions and agree with them, that's great. If they don't agree with them, then what don't they agree with? Maybe that's a question of bringing up polls or whatever, but I just figured that we leave it open for a bit, see what people say, and then at some point we can move into polling and bring it into a more concise document. But I don't feel like what I posted is meant to be some sort of roadmap that can be voted upon, but a beginning of a discussion, and then we figure out how we're having that discussion.
Yeah, and Theo, what I would say is that it's not the best answer, but it's going to take as long as it's going to take. Right? We have to give it enough time to have that conversation, because it is a big deal. In the US, North America, we're having holidays right around now. We've just gone through all that, the rebase discussions. So in the rebase community, like in that discussion, there was this conflict between whether we were going too fast or going too slow. And we ended up having about 3 or 4 different proposals for stopping rebase all at the same time on Snapshot, because I mean, obviously that's fair. It comes from different community members, and everybody is their own person to make those decisions. So what we want to do in this process going forward is get the feedback, sort of work down to a list. Like what Ross's document does is it explains the situation that we've got. We still have to get feedback for the process going forward. And honestly, that can go down to like bullet points almost, or just a step-by-step process. And it can be very short, and somebody can read it in a single sitting. But the analysis behind those points, that should be a living document that says, hey, this is the step you do. And if you want to know more, this is why we do that step. And that's where Ross's document really comes in. It says, okay, here are the trade-offs, the pros and cons and stuff like that. So that is going to be a bit of a discussion. And I mean, I don't know for sure, but I imagine that this conversation is going to go on for at least a couple of weeks before we sort of start to settle it down. And then after that, it's still going to be something of a living document where we iterate on it. At least we've got a footing, a foundation to start with. And then going forward, we're going to say, hey, you know what? We've used this document a couple of times. We followed these steps, and step number 4 is still a pain point. Let's try to work on that to make it better so that we get more contribution, and that everybody feels like they're being heard. We're not getting spammed, but we still have a nice and open process.
Yeah, definitely. It is a living document. So as we move forward, we can adjust it. Nothing's set in stone as with DAOs. Even our rebase wasn't set in stone. So, but definitely we want to move this process forward. That's why we're bringing it up now, to talk about it, to let everybody know that, hey, this is important. It is very important. So let's continue the conversation in Discord. Moving on, so we have degenerative finance proposal, UMA farming of UGAS February and UGAS March. So as you guys know, there are UMA incentives for liquidity mining. The DApp is degenerative finance itself. We created that site, so we get the DApp incentives from UMA. And then there's also liquidity mining incentives from UMA, which we can use part of our treasury to, number one, help support the degenerative finance ecosystem, the UGAS ecosystem, but also mine UMA while we're at it. So this proposal is up on the forums. I'm probably going to send it to Snapshot shortly, just because it's pretty obvious that most people are okay with it. What we will be doing is essentially taking the ETH that's in the treasury currently, using it as collateral to mint UGAS tokens, and then providing it as a liquidity provider on Uniswap. Sure, I can. As far as how DApp mining works, so it's split up into, currently the mining, the incentives are split into 10% for UGAS specifically. 10% goes directly to YAM. 40% goes into DApp mining, which is basically any developer can build a DApp that connects to UMA's contracts, specifically the UGAS contracts, if you want to. And then once you build the DApp to connect to those contracts, you can create your own interface to mint UGAS tokens. And we're all using the same contracts. Degenerative finance is its own app. DApp mining can be done by anybody, any developer. And then 40% of the liquidity incentives will go to that DApp miner. In this case, it's degenerative finance, which is part of YAM. Any questions as far as DApp mining or this proposal that we have in the forums? Okay, perfect. Shoot, I just lost my screen. All right, so moving forward, so liquidation bot. So coming up, we are, Brock is going to be, Brock has already created a liquidation bot, but it's run by him by himself. Moving forward, Yam Treasury will take over that bot. And Brock, if you don't mind explaining, please.
Yeah, for sure. So basically for all UMA contracts, you need people to, the way these priceless contracts work, when I say priceless, it means it doesn't rely on an oracle constantly. You only need an oracle when there is a, when people are looking at the positions off chain and see that one is based on a whole bunch of different markets is under collateralized. And so you have to run a bot to watch for the price changes and monitor positions. And so it's a necessary function to keep the contract secure, but you get a reward for doing so. And currently to as part of the launch of Degenerative Finance, we had committed to operating a liquidator and disputer bot. I won't go too much into technical details there, but for the most part, it's just to make sure that these contracts remain safe. And so I've dedicated some personal capital to operating these bots. And it's open source from the UMA team, the actual bots. And so ultimately all it is I provide some capital and mint a few of the synthetic tokens and can liquidate under collateralized accounts. This is fine for now, but the capital requirements do increase with the number of contracts that we're trying to secure and keep secure. So it'd be best if we can move away from it just being my own personal capital and move to be a part of YAM itself. And basically all that would entail is having a smart contract that is funded by the Treasury, and then having some YAM infrastructure that operates the actual execution of the liquidations and runs the bot off chain. And so that's a little bit of an update around the liquidation and dispute bot that we should think about getting set up in the not too distant future as Degenerative Finance grows.
Awesome. Thank you, Brock. Any questions on that? All right, we are going to move forward. Degenerative Finance, UMA Derivatives. As you guys know, we just launched degenerative.finance. It is still in work in progress, but a lot of the functionality is already in place. So we're going to do a quick walkthrough of the site, and Brock's going to lead us through that. Brock?
Yep. Give me 1 second here.
Do I have to unshare my screen?
Nope, I should have just been able to take it. Okay, does everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, great. So this is the main page here. This would be the landing page. So to get started, you have a few different tokens here.
Sorry, could you zoom in just a bit? Maybe.
Yeah.
Easier.
Yeah. How's this? Is that better?
Perfect.
Okay, great. And so there's a few different contracts here, depending on when you want them to expire. I'll just walk through a quick minting. Let's say we want to mint some January. This is the current Uniswap price over the past few days. You can enter the amount of tokens you want to mint. The minimum is 5, and that's due to basically when you mint a token, it's actually kind of taking on debt in a sense. And so you have to maintain a minimum amount. And so let's say I want to mint 10. It auto-populates with how much collateral I have to put in. This collateral is determined by what's called the global collateral ratio, which is just an aggregate of all of the total positions. And And so I already have WETH, but it takes WETH, and this will say approve if you haven't approved. So to mint, all you do is click mint, speed it up, and confirm. And after it's done, we'll see that I'll have some UGAS Jan 21, and it'll tell me my position collateral and outstanding tokens. And so if we actually go and look at this this transaction, you'll see when you decode, there's only two inputs here, how much collateral and how many tokens, but you'll see this last part here, and this is the data tagging. So this is how we do the DApp mining, telling UMA who was the minter. And so if you copy this address, you'll see that it is the YAM treasury. And so this is how the data tagging works from the UI into the creation. And I can do other things if people want to see, but I think most of this stuff is self-explanatory. There's some info about various UGAS use cases and whatnot, and a more in-depth FAQ in the Learn More section.
How do you know how much, what price you just minted at?
Yeah, so pretty much, say I did that. Since you don't necessarily know the price you're minting at, you know your collateral ratio. So the thought is that you can mint, and then just because I've minted, I'm not in that much of risk. I have this other token, but unless you're going to do something with that token, there's no real reason to mint, right? So I would mint and then I would sell or provide on Uniswap, right? It's either I want to make the market or I want to trade. And so does that sort of make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also just we also are still updating the UI, and we will have soon both the current token price and current median gas price.
So from what I understand, the minting price is the 2-hour TWAP price that they use for the liquidations, for the collateral ratio, for basically everything that has to do with the UGAS.
Right. So UGAS is particular in that it actually has two different kinds of price feeds. So this contract expires on the 30-day median gas price weighted by how much gas was used. But liquidations and disputes are determined by the 2-hour TWAP on Uniswap. So if the price goes up to 1.32, my position could be liquidated. But expiry is not determined by the TWAP. It's by the rolling 30-day median gas price. Anyone else can jump in. I just figured I would show the UI and the flow, and we would love some feedback on if you don't understand something. We try and add tooltips to each of these things. Deposit adds collateral, redeem reduces my debt, and withdraw. There's a couple different kinds of withdraw. Instant. So you have to maintain the global collateral ratio naturally, but you can actually go below by requesting a new withdraw, which then takes 2 hours, and then you can instant withdraw. And this basically just ensures that the entire system remains collateralized, and it allows someone to step in. And if you're trying to withdraw all of your collateral, people can reject that and keep the system safe.
So just quickly, other than buy low and sell high, what's sort of the thought process of why you would why you would use this if we're going to be, say you're, I don't know, you're deploying contracts, some smart contracts that's going to cost a lot of gas, and you're worried about a yield farm. Is that like the network fees spiking? Can you sort of walk us through one of those?
Yeah. So we have three very good explanations on the site if you want to come back and reference these. I'll let someone else actually explain this best. I'm fine at explaining technical things, but there are better storytellers than me. So if someone else wants to be the storyteller, I think they'll do a better job.
So yeah, I'll jump in here. So a quick example would be if you were just wanted to speculate on the price of, for example, Zombie Rick the Trader. Zombie Rick believes gas prices will rise in January. Buys the gas token January 21st, 2021. Just right off of Uniswap. Doesn't even need to mint it. Doesn't need to collateralize it or anything like that. They can just buy the token. When they buy the token, let's just say the price of the token is 0.070 ETH. That usually means that in terms of GWAY gas prices, that means that it equates to about 70 GWAY. And the one token is equivalent of a million million GWAY. So when you pay for a gas token that's 0.07 ETH, you're effectively saying that you think that the median 30-day prices in January will be above 70 GWAY. So if it gets really busy in January and the average price is 100 GWAY, at the end of the month, you can take that token and you can redeem it for the collateral that the minters or whoever minted that token has put into the system. So this allows you to basically, if you basically to lock in your GWAY at 70. If you use only a million ETH or GWAY in the month, it allows you to lock it in at 70. And then at the end of the month, when you redeem that token, you get paid back. You get paid extra because you basically you actually spent more GWAY from whatever you needed to do that month than 70, but you get to get the difference in a sense.
You get the difference. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not going to go into, but there's more examples on here. There's if you're a farmer or if you're why would you mint tokens? One is to obtain the UMA liquidity incentives. Another reason is because you want to short the market. You think that it's overpriced. You can mint it and then sell it, and then at the end of the month, whatever collateral you don't the contract will automatically settle for you, and then you can withdraw the extra ETH that you collateralized, but you didn't return the tokens. I guess that might be a little complicated, but if you guys have any more questions, we'd be happy to explain it to you over Discord. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I've played around with it. Obviously, great product launch. Congrats to that. Just a question around how the rollout is going ahead. So you obviously coded it up and it works. I had a look on Uniswap for the January gas futures. The trading volume wasn't huge. Is there some sort of dialogue between the Yam community and, I don't know, other communities, let's say Wi-Fi or Harvest, so all these kind of yield mining protocols, which consume a lot of gas every month, predictably. So is there some sort of approach where people think, okay, we should talk to those guys and kind of tell them how it works, to kind of do a little bit of customer acquisition, product market fit, engineering, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So we have currently we're still we have a number of kind of small UI UX updates that we want to make over the next 1 to 2 weeks. And so we want the interface to be in a really good spot. And then we're starting to roll out kind of some additional marketing efforts. So these take kind of a number of iterations. So there's really like this B2C market in which we're really targeting kind of retail traders. We're showing them, how much gas they've consumed in the last month at what price to help them understand whether a hedge is appropriate for their gas usage. There's obviously just the speculative market as well. But then, you touch on I think really big opportunity, which is any protocol or company that is consistently paying a significant amount of either deployment or kind of upkeep costs. Is there something here for Keeper to integrate to help with any Keeper bots that have been particularly active? Just again, any individual or entity that is consistently pushing out a ton of transactions is definitely in the target market for this product from a hedging standpoint. So that also includes companies like Dharma and DYDX that actually pay for their users' gas costs. So, we're thinking of it in terms of kind of a ramping up to those users over the next several weeks to couple months as we continue to kind of build out the infrastructure of the page and doing things to help people understand exactly how to use this product and how it can be advantageous for them, because it's a futures contract. It's a little bit more sophisticated than I think what a lot of people are used to interacting with in DeFi from a financial engineering standpoint. And I think a lot of people aren't doing a lot of due diligence regarding their transaction spend and all of this stuff, and so they're not even aware of the degree or how this product could help them. So we've got some marketing education goals to reach there to help educate.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, you obviously have a couple of great examples on that write-up and on the website. The other thing that came to mind today is, so many people are now saying, oh, gas costs will come down because L2s will launch, it will be Optimism, Rollup, Starkware, blah, blah, blah. And there's pretty much no token to play that. There's XDAI, Stake, and Matic, but many people don't really say that in the same breath as Optimism and ZK rollups. So you could make a case for those people who think layer 2s will come. The way to formulate and play their view is to short gas prices, right? Because they're effectively saying things will move on to layer 2s, and hence there will be less gas costs. So just as a thought that arose today, but yeah, Trent, what you just said sounds pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
Hey guys, real quick, just popping in. So Dharma actually just changed their fee model, so they are no longer subsidizing user gas. They're passing that along to users. That just happened.
Word, classic. Makes sense. I mean, it's a huge expense.
Oh yeah, expense. But yeah, just an FYI.
Yeah,
cool.
But I also think some protocols could just buy the future, and then if they're in the money, they could run a campaign for their users, right? So they could effectively warehouse, credits, and then so if they're in the money, they can, let their users kind of trade for free or at a subsidized rate. So I think there's definitely a ton of different angles how you can sell that to these guys.
That's a great idea.
And I think a lot of guys. Yeah, sorry, we're go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I think a lot of it too is just going to be listening to these different like enterprise level like protocols, right? And just kind of having conversations with them to really figure out, well, what makes sense for you guys? Like where are your pain points, and like how can this fit into what you guys are doing? And obviously we'll come to the table with ideas ourselves, but I mean, I'm sure they will have ideas too about how it could integrate. So I think it's going to be more of a dialogue to start with. But yeah, really exciting and cool stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. Also, we're if we pass the our own farming of the UGAS tokens, number one, we'll be building out the smart contracts to do that directly, which we can give to other protocols. Number two is that it shows that it works, and we're adding liquidity to the ecosystem as a whole. But let's move on. If you guys have any other questions about this, please let us know in Discord. We have Umbrella protocol update from Trent. Go ahead, Trent.
Yep. So yeah, again, I've only got 10 minutes here, but I'll give a quick update. So first of all, the alpha UI testing, basically, our framework is in Vue that we're working on, and so Brock wasn't super familiar with that. But through the UMA interface work, has upped his Vue skills considerably, and so should be able to push that out quite soon. So we're really thinking the end of 2020, probably January 30th is when the alpha will go live for people to start testing.
December 30th.
December 30th. Sorry, I keep doing that. December 30th, the alpha will go live. And then we're thinking we have a couple different audit offers from various auditors. We're likely going to start that audit in the middle of January. And so once we have that fully locked in, just waiting for a little bit more feedback from our dev team on which auditor they think we should go with. Once we have that officially locked in, we're going to do an updated roadmap that will be much more informed based on the actual alpha testing and the actual audit, which are kind of the two kind of big pieces that really you kind of frame the roadmap around. And then so the kind of two other things I'll mention briefly are the umbrella arbitration criteria discussion. So I have a document that I'm almost ready to post that kind of starts to bring up some of the issues around arbitration criteria. And in my mind, those issues are really, one, the kind of arb versus exploit debate and the degree to which code is law. So, a good example of that is Compound's recent DAI liquidations due to their single source Coinbase Oracle. And whether that's, an exploit that happened as a result of market manipulation, or whether that's, very clearly the intended functionality of the protocol and the degree to which, where does something like that fall on our arbitration criteria? Secondly, you've got the kind of composability vector, which is basically, in all of these Curve flash loan exploits, Curve was the protocol that was actually manipulated, but it was all of these other harvesting, farming pools that ended up getting screwed over. So, where exactly do we define exploit occurring in the actual protocol that was responsible for the exploit, or where users lost funds? And then the third is just the scale of the hack and the degree to which Sushi recently had an exploit of probably $15,000 worth of rewards, and Cover Protocol was actually covering Sushi at that time, and they decided not to determine that to be a valid claim. So where is that threshold? If it had been $50,000, if it had been $100,000, that is a really tough question. And so there are kind of a couple different ways in which, Cover and Nexus, which are really the only two protection markets live, are dealing with it. Nexus requires proof of lost funds. And Cover just says, whatever our community decides, and then they have a kind of council of auditors that makes the final determination. So there are just a lot of complicated issues there that we need to kind of sort through. And then the other thing I'll say regarding Umbrella is that I think we're also going to reach out to Claros and kind of just investigate what a collaboration there would look like. Claros is kind of specifically geared towards it's an arbitration protocol. I mean, that's fundamentally what they do, is vote on the validity of various different things. So it's kind of a natural partnership with Umbrella Protocol. And so we just want to investigate kind of what a collaboration there might look like. Don't know where that's going to go, but could be quite interesting. Yep, so that's pretty much all the Umbrella updates I have on my end.
Thank you, Trent. For the sake of time, if you guys have any questions, we'll move it to the end. But we also have a YDS update from Nate, which is doing the smart contracts, and Krugman, which is the portfolio manager, if he's available. Nate, if you want to go ahead first.
Yeah, hey guys. I don't think Krugman's on the call, but I can give a quick update for him. He's started work on his manager front end, just kind of making a list of things that need to be changed and making those changes. I'm working fairly closely with him to get that done. On the contract side, we're complete aside from some new PRs that Set Protocol needs on their new repo, and some testing that needs to be done in their testing format. A bit of a pain, but you know, politics.
Sounds good. Krugman, are you still here? I saw you earlier, but I guess you've gone off. Yeah, so YDS, for you guys that don't know, is a collaboration that we have with the Set Protocol to basically take a portion of our treasury that we're going to be managing, actively managing, using a community voted on strategy of beta and correlation. It's in there's a bunch of forum posts in the forums and Discord. So just check it out if you guys have a chance. We do have a hard stop in 3 minutes. I think because of the limitations of YouTube. But if there's any other short questions, otherwise we're on Discord. So just ping us, me, Fedez, and whoever else is on the team. Any questions? Otherwise, we have to wrap it up. Oh, perfect. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you for joining us. And we appreciate it. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks all.
Guys, check you out
Thanks,
next.
guys. See ya.